Monday Night Nightmare. Hi again, everyone, and welcome into Cincinnati Bengals Talk. I'm James Rapien alongside Elise Jesse, where the Bengals, well, they lose to the Commanders, and they lose 38-33, and they lose despite not turning the ball over or punting, and Joe Burrow by far having his best game of the year. And going into this game, Elise, I think we had plenty of questions about this team overall, how good they could be, all of those things. Feel like we have more questions now than answers following the game. The defense was awful. Didn't stop Jayden Daniels all night, and I like Jayden Daniels. I think he's a heck of a player. He's not that good, and the Bengals made him that good. They didn't force a punt. They didn't force a turnover. This Washington Commanders offense went up and down the field and scored touchdowns on their first four possessions, scored on every possession that they had the ball, and the Bengals are 0-3 for the first time in the Joe Burrow era.
Yeah, a lot of these guys in the locker room have also not been 0-3 in their careers. And the Washington Commanders have not punted in 2 games. You knew that coming into this game. The defense looked, and what boggles my mind is that they had an extra day to plan for this one. And they looked confused. They looked out of sorts. They looked out of position at some points. They did not look like the Cincinnati defense that we saw last week. I'm just over here waiting for consistency. I really think that's what we are lacking from a viewer standpoint. I'm not seeing any consistency with this team so far. Now, I am pleased to see the offense play well, but you come out, you score 33 points, and you can't win the game because your defense gives up 38. That's wild. And now you go into Carolina next week and face Andy Dalton, who just put up 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And also, let's not forget, he might be one of those guys who is a man of faith, but he is not going to forget about when Zach Taylor benched his butt on his birthday right before the trade deadline. I was covering Andy at that point, and I thought he was going to cry in the locker room over that situation. If you think he has not forgotten about that, you are sorely mistaken. I know he's already 2-1 against the Bengals, but I can guarantee you he plans on sending the Bengals home with another loss, 0-4.
And if the defense plays like this, well, then it's going to be probably that same fate. I mean, that's the problem with tonight. And Joe Burrow, when we posted Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, players' reaction, so make sure you check out those videos, is Joe Burrow was like, oh, yeah, we played well on offense tonight. And, like, they didn't turn the ball over. And, yeah, they had to settle for a few field goals. Okay, like, that's normal. Offenses don't score every possession, and yet that's what they did. The only possession they didn't score on, Evan missed that field goal. Outside of that, they were scoring, and that to me is the concern, is you tie in the inconsistency. But last week the defense played up to where they needed to against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs for most of that game. The offense did enough, but they needed one more play.
You know the Bengals defense is pissed. They are fuming because they had Jayden Daniels backed up, 2nd 20. Yep. This guy easily marches down the field. I'm like, who is this guy? Ben Roethlisberger? Like, what is happening?
Prime Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Prime, like even 2015. But the fact that he was able to come in and cook this defense, I mean, he filleted that defense. Defense looked like absolute trash tonight, and that is harsh, but I feel like this defense would also say the exact same thing. I don't think that they were pleased with their performance. I think that they were peeved, and it was really kind of an interesting locker room because you want to go in and there's so many positives because the offense looked really great, but then the defense looked so horrible, and it's like you don't want to ask the offensive players about the defense because you don't want to put them in a position where they throw their teammates under the bus. Yeah. But also, like, you need somebody to comment on it because it's just, like, mind-boggling. You've got it as an offensive player, as Joe Burrow, you got pissed also. Like, hey, get it together. I'm out here slinging. I'm out here trying to win games. I'm not getting paid $275 million to sit here being 0-3. I know he's pissed.
First time ever that Joe's been 0-3, ever, including NFL level. Ja'Marr Chase as well.
Orlando Brown as well.
That's what's crazy is, like, offensive line, they lose Trent Brown. It's a really serious injury, and it sucks. And I know there's so many Amarius Mims fans out there. You can be both and not be happy that Trent Brown went down. So hopefully it's not as serious as it looked, but it doesn't sound or look good. But the Ja'Marr Chase connection worked. 41-yard touchdown to start the game. A 31-yard touchdown moves right downfield to make it a game and cut it to 31-26. Yes, there was a pass interference that was missed on the T. Higgins 2-point conversion. There's no doubt about that. But it keeps coming back to the defense, and that's the one thing I will say is Joe Burrow, when he was talking, and again, you can watch everything that Joe Burrow and Zach Taylor had to say, but it felt like he was searching. And he was like processing what had happened, why it happened, and what he can do to press the right buttons. Because I'm sure, I know this, last week he felt like he pressed the right buttons and was going to go into Arrowhead and show everyone that he's still the man.
Yeah.
And he came up this close and was really frustrated because he came up this close but came up short. Tonight, he played about as good as you could play. And they still come up short. And so I think he's, I don't want to say at a loss for words because he had a lot of interesting things to say and had good insight, but he's certainly questioning things a bit right now, and that's reasonable. He's never been 0-3.
Yeah, I would say so. And it's so weird because watching tonight, Joe Burrow's on the field. He's healthy. So is Ja'Marr Chase. He's healthy as well. And I still was like, I don't know if they're going to win this game. Have you ever felt like that watching a game with a healthy Joe Burrow and Ja'Marr Chase? I really haven't. You can almost expect them to make a big play to win the game, even in the final minutes with those two.
Especially when they're in sync.
Right.
And they're hitting on those plays, yes.
Yeah. They were exactly in sync tonight, and you touched on that earlier. And I understand why he's at a loss for words because frankly, I kind of am too. I just don't, what in the heck is going on? Fix it, man. Yeah,
they have to. And that's the reality they're facing is they're 0-3 for the first time since 2019. They are going to Carolina, like I mentioned this week, short week. And this was a chance, I mentioned the 2022 season multiple times. This was a chance to, in 6 days, they did it in 5 days in 22, but go from 0-2 to 2-2. And now that just went out the door. And now we're in uncharted waters with the Zach Taylor-Joe Burrow tandem. And so we'll see. I'm not sure where they go from here. What I do know is that they have to be much better all around because the offense has been up and down. If this offense played like this, they would have beat the Chiefs. They would have beat the Patriots. And so that's it, is when you have that inconsistency on offense, and then tonight, the defense was, as at least Jesse put it, trash. And it was. They got cooked.
It was hard to
They got like you on TikTok. At least Cook's on TikTok.
No, okay, so
she's got recipes.
I do have recipes. If someone wants a recipe, give Lou Anarumo a new recipe, please, for this defense.
I don't think
I'm tired of it. I'm tired of this recipe. It's like the same chicken every night. No, it's not that consistent, actually.
I don't think you have the recipe to fix this defense. And
I hope Lou would. I hope someone who knows Lou would give him the recipe. But it's like I'm watching it tonight and I'm looking around. The stadium's packed. There's 66,207 fans here. Heck, probably 2/3 of the people here subscribe to the YouTube channel. I'm not kidding you. And here they are using their hard-earned money to watch what we just watched tonight. I mean, for the first 3 quarters, I was like, oh my gosh, I would be fuming if I paid a boatload of money, expected to have a great time Monday Night Football. I probably called off work tomorrow, and this is the result. An 0-3 team with Joe Burrow healthy, Ja'Marr Chase healthy, T. Higgins made his return tonight. You just expected so much more, and they left so much on the table.
They fall to 0-3. It's rough. We are going to have you covered all week long. We're not going anywhere. It doesn't matter how many games they lose. I promise you, Cincinnati Bengals Talk is here to stay. Woo! So hit that subscribe button. Get Elise's recipes. And until next time, the Bengals fall to 0-3, 38-33 to the Washington Commanders. For Elise Jesse and Andrew Fox Miller, I'm James Rapien. Thank you so much for watching Cincinnati Bengals Talk.